Philippines will came from
Welcome to this live, the Legal Creatives talk show today with JP Rossi from Accessible Legal Design between Argentina and the Netherlands. JP?
Okay, hello, how are you? ¿Cómo estás, Tessa? Esto va a ser una experiencia interesante, an interesting experience, because we are going to share some pensamientos en inglés, en español. Es un experimento de algunos webinars que hemos planeado con Tessa para alcanzar al público también latinoamericano, for the Latin American people, so I'm very excited. Estoy muy agradecido y emocionado.
Well, thank you so much for being here, for being live, for being here today to share some of your experiences. So as JP mentioned, this webinar is going to be in English and in Spanish. So whatever language you speak, you're going to get a lot of value because I'm going to share with you the highlights and summaries of my real life insights in legal design in terms of the myths and realities of legal design. And JP is going to extend that conversation in Spanish so we can bring the LATAM and Spanish region with us in this webinar. So if you think this could be interesting to a friend or a colleague or to in your network, feel free to share with them so they can join us. So let's get started. Maybe a little bit of introduction and background before we go into the myths and realities of legal design. So JP, would you like to share a little bit about your background, who you are, and what you do for the audience to get to know you better?
Ok, perfecto, sí. Mi nombre es JP Rossi, soy abogado, tengo un máster en Tecnología y Derecho por la Universidad de Vrij Amsterdam y soy el fundador de Accessible Legal Design, que es básicamente un proyecto del estudio jurídico Frías, que está en Buenos Aires, Argentina, y que hemos desarrollado este proyecto para aplicar las técnicas de legal design que yo hace aproximadamente un año empecé a formarme junto a ti, Tessa, por supuesto. He hecho varias experiencias de capacitación, como las immersions, como varios workshops, y también trabajo mío de investigación que yo he desarrollado luego de terminar el máster a través de un año de trabajo intensivo en el legal design.
Well, that's so great. So JP is doing so much work at the intersection of design, technology, and the law with a focus on innovation. And this new agency he has created, Accessible Legal Design, is all about the visualization of the law. And that leads me to talk a little bit about the first myth. But before, if people don't know who I am, what I do, I'm Tessa. I'm the founder of Legal Creatives. Legal Creatives is this international educational platform in legal design and innovation. We serve legal professionals from all around the world who are tuning in on the platform to learn the methodology, to practice the techniques, and to enhance that new mindset, which is the user centricity, understanding our customers, our users, what do they really need, what do they want, what do they expect, so we can have a more systematic and structured approach to innovate in the legal sector, whether we want to create new contracts, new policies, new legal services, new technologies, and new systems. And so that's a little bit what we're going to talk today, the myths of legal design. I have a couple of myths I would like to demystify for the audience, but I'm going to give our guest, JP, the honor to be the first to share what is, in his opinion and practice, the biggest myth in legal design.
Perfecto. Quiero hacer una pequeña introducción para el público latinoamericano. For the Latin American people, I make a brief introduction. Tessa Manuello, que está conmigo aquí en esta charla, es una de las pioneras del legal design. Es una persona que ha trabajado por años, hace ya 5 o 6 años aproximadamente que está con eso, y es la CEO de la plataforma número 1 de capacitación en legal design, con un approach muy en la práctica. O sea, me ha pasado a mí que cuando me he formado en el legal design he encontrado mucho trabajo académico, mucho trabajo universitario. Las universidades importantes en Finlandia, en Luxemburgo, hay gente muy importante, Estefanía Pacera, Ariana Rossi, Elena Japio, que están trabajando en esto, o la Universidad de Stanford, que tiene un laboratorio especial de legal design, y aplican el legal design en un marco universitario y académico. Pero Tessa lo que aplica, digamos, en su plataforma es una parte muy práctica donde nos enseña cómo aplicar las técnicas del legal design y cómo llegar a resultados en nuestra práctica jurídica. Creo que I think you understand everything, Tessa.
Yeah, actually, it was not bad. I was happy to see that my Italian roots and Portuguese mini mastery is helping me understand the Spanish you say. So that's really wonderful.
Yes.
So let's go with the first.
The world is very big right now. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
now you are in Brazil and we are talking for people. Estamos hablando para gente de Argentina, Latinoamérica, España. O sea, es increíble. Así que muy contento de esto. Así que bueno, podemos empezar.
First, let's go into it. What do you think, according to you, JP, in your practice, and also because the research you have done, you've done so much research as well. So what is the first myth, according to you, JP?
Bueno, yo tengo uno de los primeros mitos, voy a continuar en español con este mito, es el que el legal designer tiene que trabajar en equipo o puede trabajar solo. Yo a este mito lo llamo en inglés to team or not to team, que vendría del Shakespeare, del to be or not to be. Y este es uno de los mitos en donde se considera generalmente que el legal design, para aplicarlo, siempre hay que trabajarlo en equipo. Y esto no es tan correcto, porque una sola persona puede formarse y puede aplicar las técnicas del legal design a su práctica legal diaria. Por supuesto que es mejor tener un equipo, por supuesto que sí. Generalmente, por ejemplo, nosotros en la práctica en accesible en español, legal design, hemos formado un equipo donde tenemos, por un lado, los abogados que trabajan, vamos a hablar un caso específico de los contratos, un contrato. Tenemos los abogados que trabajan en el contrato, en la parte legal, la parte de diseño y comunicación, que nosotros tenemos dentro del equipo dos personas excelentes trabajando en esto, y el legal designer en el medio, que sería mi caso. Entonces, ¿cómo trabajamos en equipo? Para hacerlo sencillo, por supuesto esto es un poco más complejo, es cuando llega el texto legal es analizado por los abogados, luego pasa a mi área, donde yo le voy dando un formato más, el legal design, aplicando las técnicas, y lo paso al equipo de comunicación y diseño. Entonces, por supuesto, después vuelve, tenemos UX Research, tenemos muchas cosas que es más avanzadas que iremos viendo probablemente en próximos capítulos de estos webinars. Lo que quiero decirles básicamente, sí, es más cómodo trabajar en un equipo y es mejor, el resultado posiblemente sea mejor. Pero esto no obsta a que un solo abogado en su práctica profesional pueda aplicar estas técnicas y pueda llegar a los resultados que son los resultados que quiere obtener el legal design, básicamente, para que quede claro. La transparencia de la comunicación, que el derecho, que la ley sea entendido por una persona que va a leer ese texto legal sin ser abogado.
Yeah, I like this one. To team or not to team. I did not expect, JP, you were going to bring that one first, but I think it's a very true myth that we tend to think that either only lawyers can do legal design or only designers can do legal design, when in fact it's the conjunction of both that allows this magic sort of thing to happen by working in an interdisciplinary manner, lawyers and designers together. And when you said as well, it's so right in the sense that if you are a solo lawyer or if you are even in an organization, whether small, medium, or big, and you feel passionate about the design aspect, you can learn the design. And in fact, there are many lawyers that became designers and that established a practice where they do the legal analysis and they do the design too. Although that do takes a bit more time, investments, and energy, because you have to start a completely new field of research and practice in design. And you have to be really motivated to be able to continue this journey and to eventually become a good designer. because there's already great designers on the marketplace that we can work with and partner with. And I think that collaboration is very key. I would bring another myth. Yes, JP?
No, please continue. Good.
Yeah, related to that, in the sense of the visuals, we tend to think that legal design is just about working on the visuals for contracts or privacy policies or any other user guide we may want to create or playbooks to demystify, the legal information or even at times the legal technology too. And I think this is a big myth. Legal design is not just about creating visuals. And I think many of you who are on this webinar already know that, or maybe for some of you, it's completely new. And so you may be surprised that it's not just the visuals. It's not just the colors and the icons and the imagery. It's a methodology. It's a methodology that is very structured, that has been proven to work in the law as well as in other industries for innovation, by understanding the users, the customers, who they are, what they need, what they expect to receive from you as a service provider. And that methodology helps you think in a way that is more centered on the needs of your users. And you're going to say, but wait a second, I already care so much about my customers. Of course, I'm thinking about what they need and want. But what the methodology does is it gives you a set of techniques and tools to have a more systematic approach and to have a structured framework, so you can be a lot more efficient in the way you ask for the feedback, in the way you incorporate that feedback in your work. So whether you create visuals or whether you create a new process to work in your law firm, or whether you create a technology to be delivered on the market, this methodology helps you think about who's the user, what do they need. And it's so important because if you don't use this methodology, you're at risk of investing a lot of your time and energy and efforts into creating something your customers don't really want. And if they don't really want what you will create, you will be losing a lot of time and money and resource. And this is something we certainly don't want to do those times that are so uncertain with the economy and the global, systemic disruptions that we see happening. So we want to be very strategic as to where we invest our time and resources, and legal design helps us do that. JP, would you like to add something to what I just said? Do you like to counter my argument, or would you like to bring another one?
Coincido muchísimo con lo que dices, por supuesto. Quisiera agregar, yo he desarrollado un gráfico que en otro momento, se los voy a mostrar, que es como la punta de un iceberg, y lo que hay abajo. Y entonces muchas veces lo utilizo para mostrarle a nuestros clientes lo que es el legal design. ¿Por qué? Porque lo que la gente ve y lo que la gente no ve, como un iceberg, se ve poco arriba, pero abajo hay mucho. Y arriba lo que se ve generalmente es como que la gente dice, ¿qué es el legal design? Bueno, ponerle colores, ponerle algún icono, hacer una cosita un poquito más clara, como poner un poquito de color y diseño. Y no es así. Eso es un mito también. O sea, digamos, abajo del legal design hay mucha investigación, muchas técnicas y muchas herramientas que utilizamos los legal designers para poder llegar a un objetivo que es hacer entendible, por ejemplo, un contrato. Entonces, para nosotros es fundamental hacer entender a la gente que esto no se trata de poner colores o poner distintas fuentes, cambiar las fuentes del Times New Roman al Avenir y este tipo de cosas. Eso sí, por supuesto, son algunas de las técnicas, algunas de las cosas que se utilizan en el legal design, pero no es solamente esto, hay mucho más atrás. Por poner un ejemplo, nosotros cuando llegamos en nuestra compañía en Accesible, cuando tenemos que hacer, por ejemplo, que hicimos un contrato de franquicia, lo que hacemos cuando terminamos uno de los preproyectos es pasarlo por lo que llamamos unos test de UX Research, de lo que sería Legal UX Research. Y estos tests son básicamente herramientas compartidas del diseño, porque el UX, que es el User Experience, la experiencia de usuario, es una herramienta de los diseñadores, básicamente, pero utilizamos eso para ver cómo tenemos un resultado viable. Entonces, a partir de algunos tests que generamos, sabemos qué es más comprensible, si el modelo A, el B o el C. ¿Entendés? Entonces, esto es lo que nosotros estamos haciendo prácticamente cuando aplicamos las técnicas del legal design a nuestro trabajo.
Yeah, I really like what you added to that in the sense of the visuals. So since we are talking about visuals, there's another myth I would like to bring to the table. And I think that is such a big myth that legal design is not about making logos or social media posts. You can find legal designers and maybe really active on the social media, and they do that to promote themselves. And so they have all sorts of creative ideas to communicate to their target audience. But that does not mean you're going to hire a legal designer to do a new logo or to do your social media post. Instead, what you will do is you will hire a legal designer to think more strategically about your branding. So branding is very different from just having a logos post on your LinkedIn or your Instagram. The branding consists of all the interactions your customers have with your organization. And those interactions can start with a social media post. So you want to make sure you communicate the right message to attract the right audience. And so the legal designer would help you think more strategically about how you want to communicate on those social media platforms, but not necessarily do that for you. So onboarding the customer, and then closing a deal, and then onboarding the customer to work with you and nurture that relationship from the beginning to the end. And through that journey, what you have is you have a lot of interactions that happens, whether it's through emails, visiting the platform, maybe you have a dashboard, maybe you have a website, maybe you have all sorts of communication tools that you use in your practice, and including phone calls and with different people in your organization. Well, legal design helps you think more strategically about the kind of image you would like to reflect to your customers as they interact with you. And again, we're going back to the user centricity. Who are the customers we would like to serve? What do they expect? What do they need? And can we put in place a strategic plan to communicate and to nurture the relationship in the way that is best fit for them? So maybe there are some technologies your customers love to use, and well, maybe that could be a great opportunity to change your tools to use more of the tools your customers need and want. And maybe there are also communication that they find to be a little bit slow, a little bit frictions. You know, the frictions is something we talk a lot about legal design. We want to reduce the frictions. We want to create the best possible experience. So how can we reduce those frictions? And legal design helps you make a map of your services and all those interactions between your customers and your organization. That means the people who work for you, also the systems that are in place, whether it's technology or digital platforms, and to make sure that at any point of time you can create the best possible experience. Because today competition is big and we want to stand out. And to do that, we want to have a strategic approach, and legal design helps you do that work on the branding, understanding the customer's interactions, and not just making the logos and the social media posts. You can hire designers to do that part in conjunction with a professional legal designer. What do you think, JP, about that? Do you agree with me?
Sí, sí, absolutamente en coincidencia. Quiero avisar primero a la audiencia que stay tuned, como dicen en inglés, stay tuned, the audience, because tenemos un anuncio importante para hacer luego, así que quédense. Creo que ya están viendo algunas novedades ahí abajo en los graphs, pero bueno, queremos hacer el anuncio luego con Tessa. Yo lo que quiero un poco agregar, porque tal vez la gente que nos está viendo, tenemos como una audiencia nueva de Latinoamérica que está escuchando esto por primera vez, abogados, diseñadores, jóvenes profesionales que están acercándose a nosotros a través de esta experiencia webinar. Y lo que quiero dejar un poco claro, que hemos entrado en el tema de los mitos, pero quisiera dejarles claro qué es el legal design en la teoría. O sea, básicamente decir que el legal design es una disciplina que pone a los usuarios en el centro de la innovación para crear mejores documentos, servicios, organizaciones y sistemas. el legal design no se trata solamente de visual contracts, de contratos visuales. Tiene otras patas que son mucho más desarrolladas, donde hablamos de service design, que son, bueno, técnicas de organización de empresas y demás, para aplicar a organizaciones, también para desarrollar productos y sistemas tecnológicos legales, por supuesto, pero digamos que es como que otro de los mitos, por eso quiero llegar acá, es como que el legal design es solamente contratos visuales. Y no es así, o sea, es una parte del legal design, los contratos visuales, tal vez la parte más importante y la que más se ve, pero también hay otras patas donde el legal design se aplica. Entonces, nosotros tenemos por definición esto del que está centrado en el ser humano para crear estos mejores documentos. ¿Por qué hablamos de centrado en el ser humano? Porque básicamente lo que nosotros queremos hacer con el legal design es que hacer fácil comprensión de la ley para la persona que no tiene conocimientos, que no es un abogado. Y esto es fundamental. ¿Por qué es fundamental? Porque la ley tiene que ser entendida. Por ejemplo, en la ficción de que la ley se presume conocida por todos, que es una ficción. Por supuesto que es muy buena ficción desarrollada para que nadie puede decir, no, no conocía la ley en este caso. Pero cuánto mejor sería que si uno tiene, digamos, el acceso a las leyes en forma clara y precisa, es mucho más fácil. Entonces, esto también tiene una parte de yo siempre lo trato de como de ponerlo en un ámbito de estamos haciendo algo mejor, algo para que el mundo sea mejor. O sea, básicamente mi idea es que nosotros los legal designers, los que trabajamos en esto, en esta profesión, lo que queremos es que las cosas funcionen bien y por lo tanto construimos de esa forma un mundo mejor al hacer que las leyes que hoy nos rigen en absolutamente todo sean más comprensibles por la gente y por el ser humano. Por eso está centrado en el ser humano. ¿Entienden? Esta es la idea básica que rige al legal design. Así que bueno, estoy muy contento que estén con nosotros, que haya un público latinoamericano escuchándonos. I'm very sorry, perhaps that some people in English don't understand, but okay.
I'm going to make a quick summary for the English audience.
Okay,
so yeah, JP was, at the same time, I'm going to bounce on new ideas and rephrase what you have said for the English audience to be able to enjoy as well some of the myths you have said. You have talked about the visual contracts. You have talked about the way that legal design can be used to transform legal services. And even maybe, if we are a bit idealistic, transform the world, making the law a lot more understandable, a lot more usable, as we say in the jargon of legal design, meaning users can use the information they receive from you. I think so many times users are frustrated. They receive a big document from you as a lawyer. It's long, it's very dense, it's a big block of text, and they just have no idea what to do with the information. Maybe perfectly legal, and from a legal perspective, really great work, but from the user perspective, they have a lot of difficulties using this information. So what happens is they usually try to translate, make a summary, but because they're not experts, they're spending a lot of time and energy. I have seen that happen so many times in construction contracts, big construction contracts, and so many people trying to translate what's in the contract by making PowerPoint presentations. How about we start making the information more understandable the first time, so we can save a lot of time and energy, and people will value the work we do a lot more. The other myth I would like to bring to the table, and it will be my last, it's about the fact that we tend to think that legal design is just for big law firms or large legal departments. And in fact, I have seen many small firms, medium firms, and even solo practitioners massively benefit from the legal design methodology. How come is that? Well, because as a solo practitioner, as a small law firm, to start with, you have to, you have to survive in this competitive world, in this competitive market. And how do you find new clients? How do you nurture your existing clients? And there are lots of techniques that you can use to make small improvements in your practice, But one small improvement at a time, eventually, along the years, you get to create something that you will be really proud of, something that you feel is more meaningful to you, where you feel more fulfilled, and not the kind of work where you have to struggle with your client's communication being so difficult and having to waste so much time and energy just re-explaining some concepts. I think many of you will relate, like we tend to repeat so many times what we already said or wrote. And so legal design helps you be a lot more effective in your communication. It helps you be a lot more efficient in the way you operate your firm. So again, if you are solo, that is even more important because your time is limited. There's only you. But even if you're in a small firm or medium firm, there's a lot of things you can do to create that streamlined process so you can save time, you can save headaches, and eventually even start thinking about using the right technology with the legal design methodology. Because the legal design methodology helps you understand where are the gaps and how to reduce those gaps. And so this is why in that time where we have so many tech tools available, the best thing to do is to first look inside, look within at the way you work, what you want to achieve, what are your goals and objectives, what is your purpose, and look at your customers, who they are, what they want, and then make the best decisions as to what technology to use. Of course, there are big laws that are using the legal design methodology, and they are able to change the approach completely, moving from a traditional service provider to a more customer-centric law firm that is more modern, more agile, using post-its and having those rooms where they can ideate and spend a bit of time with their colleagues to think about those problems differently and come up with innovative solutions and try those solutions and eventually implement them. But you don't have to be a big law to do that.
I was looking for the chat. Sorry, Tessa. I'm looking for the comments, and okay, I found interesting things. So incredible.
Well, this is great. So in this case, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is coming up, JP, in terms of the work we're doing together?
Okay, sí, perfecto.
And also before, we'd like to invite the audience to share the questions and comments in the chat. So feel free to do that as well.
Yes, please. Mientras esperamos, quiero hacer el anuncio que hemos cerrado un acuerdo, una alianza estratégica, una partnership con Legal Creatives, entre Legal Creatives y Accesible, Legal Design, para llevar adelante la capacitación en Legal Design en español, a través de la plataforma Legal Creatives, que tiene un website específico que es es.legalcreatives.com. Nosotros vamos a estar haciendo todo lo que es la capacitación que hace Tessa Manuello con su background, que es una de las pioneras en Legal Design, que está trabajando hace años. Vamos a llevarlo adelante juntos incluso con Tessa, pero en idioma español. Así que ya tenemos programados los primeros 3 workshops. Tenemos fecha del primero, que va a ser el 11 de febrero, el sábado 11 de febrero del 2023, en horario a definir. Así que esto ya es una realidad. Nosotros vamos a estar haciendo algunos webinars más antes de la fecha del workshop para poder un poquito interactuar con la audiencia en español y para que vayan interesándose en el tema. Pero acá lo importante es que Legal Creatives ya está en español y lo hacemos juntos con Tessa Manuello.
Yeah, this is wonderful. We are very excited for this partnership, for those workshops that are coming up in the early of 2023, because we have heard from so many of you in the LATAM region wanting to learn with us, but not feeling comfortable to do that in English. So we're starting with this mini-series of workshops. I have already given them in English with great success. The feedback was amazing. It really helps you as a legal professional set yourself in motion when it comes to using the legal design methodology in practice with the techniques and the tools. Of course, we also include the visuals because we know you want them, but it's not just about that. It's also about the bigger picture. So always taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture and thinking more strategically about how you want to position yourself as a lawyer, as a law firm, even in-house, and how you can use the strategies to be able to innovate. Because the ultimate goal of legal design is to innovate. Innovate meaning thinking about problems differently, doing things that you may have never done before. And at times people feel excited because it's like, well, finally I can express my creativity. And others may feel a little bit more less comfortable because this is so new. But the fact is, I have so much experience teaching legal professionals from all around the world. I remember teaching lawyers even all the way from Southeast Asia, North America, Africa, Europe, Oceania. And even I remember someone was learning from Kazakhstan, I think, which is so remote. And she loved it because it helped her gain clarity as to what are her next steps. And because I'm also a coach, I'm all about giving you clarity as to what are the practical steps to take so you can maximize your outcomes from those workshops. So stay tuned and make sure to register your name at es.legalcreatives.com. You will see right there a page where you can put your name and your email so we can let you know, and you will be the first to know when those workshops are available. I think we had such great comments in the chat. I was reading them as well, and I'm really grateful for all of those comments. I see Juan is talking about the UX research that you have mentioned, JP. That is so important to really understand. Yeah, maybe JP, this one is better for you. I'm not sure about indagar. What is indagar?
It's to research. It's like to find out something like this. Sí, Juan Manuel es uno de mis colaboradores en el equipo. Juan Manuel trabaja conmigo y ha trabajado en lo que es la UX Research. Y nunca lo había hecho. O sea, for him it's the first time. It was the first time that trabajó con las técnicas de Research de UX en un experimento que hicimos para hacer un contrato de franquicia. Así que está sumamente entusiasmado con las técnicas que estamos utilizando. Así que, bienvenido, Juan Manuel.
There's another great question from Sabelo and Gubane. Thank you for your question and your comment. So legal design is an innovative way to explain the law. And of course, it makes it a lot more interesting for the customers and the users because it's more understandable, it's more accessible. Sometimes it's even more engaging. At times, people make it even fun. Can you believe it? And it works. People love it. You have to be really good at that, though. I don't think I'm a... I have lots of joy, but I don't consider myself good at making jokes. But believe it or not, some people have made that. So anyway, the graphical representation and clear and simple language. Yeah, it's all of that. And that's what we cover in the workshop that are coming up. But what about a customer that is visually impaired? And, they usually use screen readers and framework process. Just a question. That's a great question, Sabelo. And that's exactly why we need to use the legal design methodology to think about the different kinds of users we have. And so maybe this is something you're really interested to investigate. How can we communicate legal information in a way that is more effective to people that are visually impaired? In fact, interestingly enough, when I gave a workshop recently to a large organization in Brazil, we had a visually impaired person in the group. And I was really concerned how we're going to make this work. And it was so fascinating because he was the first to volunteer to present the work of his team. He was always active in the chats and interacting with each other. So sometimes we may be surprised that we may think that, there's nothing we can do using this methodology with visually impaired people. And then in the end of the day, this person was so engaged, so active, taking the leadership, and I was so impressed. So that's why we need to understand our users. What are the disabilities they have? What are the tools they use? How do they think about legal information? How do they use it? So we can come up with solutions that will be more adequate for them. And just to give another example, I remember when I started the Legal Creatives Academy a few years back, we had an academy member who started to work on this project. And she came up with the idea of having an audio contract. with a blockchain to authentify the signature through the voice. And that is something really innovative. That was just a prototype she created, but it's just to give you all the possibilities you have with the methodology. We have Ricardo Ferras with us. That's so great to have you. And Veronica is so glad to be there. Wow, that's so amazing. We're so happy you're part of this. Juan Manuel talks about legal design. Would you like to comment a little bit about this, JP?
Yes, lo que está diciendo es que él trae un poco el tema que yo hablé de la presunción de conocimiento de la ley, que es una ficción por la cual la ley es presupuesta por todas las personas. Nadie puede negar la no existencia o el no conocimiento de una ley, básicamente. Entonces, lo que él está diciendo es que le da un valor más absoluto y más real, porque al tener una fácil comprensión de la ley, se supone que es más accesible para las personas. Esto es básicamente lo que está transmitiendo. Juan Manuel Verdaguer es un abogado muy formado en el ámbito académico, por lo cual está hablando de temas muy específicos, como es el tema de la ficción del conocimiento de la ley, que es un tema jurídico avanzado, digamos. Así que bueno, celebro que Juan Manuel sea parte, y Ricardo también, de mi equipo. Son gente muy capaces, están en la parte que yo les decía, la pata jurídica de mi organización está manejada realmente por dos abogados impresionantes que son Juan Manuel y Ricardo Frías, que están formados, muy bien formados como abogados, mejor que yo, absolutamente, mucho mejor que yo. Yo estoy bien formado como legal designer, que es mi tarea, y después tenemos el equipo de las chicas comunicadoras y diseñadoras. Entonces, realmente en Accesible Legal Design, me hemos formado un equipo espectacular. Yo siempre digo que es como que estoy jugando en primera división con mi equipo. Así que bueno, estoy muy contento y les mando un saludo a todos ellos, que algunos están, otros no, porque están ocupados haciendo otras cosas. Pero bueno, esto es básicamente lo que quería comentar.
That is so insightful. And Geneviève, tuning in from Montreal, telling she's appreciating those insights and hearing about JP's experience. Ricardo and Veronica have two questions. So let's take those questions. And feel free to add more in the chat if you would like us to reply to some concerns. Anything you want to know in this topic. We're here to help you. So make the most of it. Ricardo, again, is asking a great question about how legal design can change our profession as lawyers. And Veronica is asking about what should be the first step in the legal design world. How about we start with the first step and then we go into how it can change?
Okay.
I think the first step in legal design is to obviously learn the methodology to be able to use it to its maximum capacity. So there are many ways you can learn about it. There are lots of articles you can read. We have a lot of articles and videos at legalcreatives.com/blog. So take a look at the blog. You can also read the book from Margaret Hagan, lawbydesign.co, which is an amazing resource for you. And then eventually, I would say you would need to practice what you learn. So to practice, you can create a safe space to experiment in your workplace. So Veronica, I don't know in which kind of organization you work, but if you work solo, then it's pretty easy. You decide if you would like to give yourself some space to experiment, like on a Friday afternoon. It may not be enough, but it's a good start to just think about your customers. What do they need? What do they want? So maybe preparing a feedback form and asking some specific questions to collect the feedback and to see from their perspectives, what are the things they really like working with you? What are the things they might want to change? And that would be the same if you were to work in a large or medium organization. If you want to bring your colleague with you, I think having a mini workshop is a great way to get started. So Veronica, I would say, learn about it, read the blog, read lawbydesign.co, and find ways to practice. And since I see you speak English, in the coming year, in 2023, in February, we're going to release our next pro immersion in legal design. It's going to be I'm going to give you at this immersion everything I have learned and tested with the community for the past years. It's going to be an incredible experience with the theory you need and also the elective module, so you can apply that theory to different areas of your legal work, and of course the practice, which is the most important. So that would be it for the transformation. What do you think about the transformation, JP?
Sí, yo creo que la profesión, digamos, de abogado está muy estructurada en la actualidad. Creo que ahora yo estoy viendo toda una corriente de cambio, viviendo acá en Europa la veo más a través de distintas organizaciones y distintas conferencias como Legal Geek o otras organizaciones que vemos más desestructurados a los abogados, sobre todo cuando trabajan en temas de innovación y tecnología. Innovación y tecnología son las cosas como que están cambiando un poquito la profesión. Entonces, un poquito contestando a lo de Ricardo, es básicamente lo que te transforma el conocimiento del legal design es en que vas a poder comunicar básicamente en una forma correcta a tu cliente los temas legales, básicamente. O sea, lo que vos vas a poder hacer es transmitir en forma clara y precisa los contenidos legales que antes los hacías más en forma casi automática, a veces teniendo ya modelos que tenías y que copiabas y que agregabas algunas cosas. Entonces, al saber que tienes que aplicar algunas técnicas de legal design, vas a empezar a cambiar esos modelos y a llegar a un modelo más claro para el cliente. También vas a hacer que el cliente pueda ahorrar dinero, porque vos, al trabajar en forma más clara, vas a poder tener menos trabajo y, por supuesto, vas a poder facturarle menos a tu cliente. Entonces, es un win-win, es una parte donde vos vas a estar trabajando menos porque ya tienes cosas resueltas a través del legal design y tu cliente también va a tener que pagarte menos porque es menos el trabajo. Nosotros siempre decimos que acá hay un ROI, hay una tasa de no me sale ya en inglés, porque ya lo pienso en el ROI, ok, que es la tasa de...
ROI.
Sí, ROI, correcto, sí. Que es básicamente las mediciones que Tessa nos ha enseñado en sus immersions, y que ella lo tiene bastante claro, de cómo nosotros medimos cuál es el ahorro que nosotros tenemos al aplicar técnicas del legal design. Por supuesto, estamos entrando ahora como en temas muy de fondo. Estos temas de los que les estoy hablando son como temas muy complicados que van, por supuesto, en los workshops o en las immersions que haremos con el Tessa, serán tratados en forma mucho más minuciosa. No vamos en una charla de 1 hora a explicar todas las cosas que abarca el legal design, pero básicamente el cambio es un cambio donde el abogado va a estar más descontracturado porque va a estar trabajando con nuevas herramientas que le van a permitir explayarse en el área legal.
We have one last question here from Shahana. Thank you for your question. Are there any sample works that can be viewed for a better understanding of legal design? Absolutely. So there are many works that you can see at the Legal Design Stanford Lab. You can Google and you will see the page with a lot of work that is mostly designed for the access to justice. So when litigants go to the court, how can they navigate better the system? Well, they have created visual maps, flowcharts, and even technological applications to help litigants navigate better the justice system. And they do great work in the United States with courts. So I highly recommend you take a look. Now, I think what would be interesting, because JP has done a great work, and maybe JP next time we can go live again and take a look at that piece of work you have done. We are also, would you agree to do that in the next live, JP? Because I think that work is, and we could learn about the process behind it as well.
Sí, seguro, seguro, sí, encantado, sí, podemos hacerlo. Podemos mostrar un poco el trabajo y explicar un poco más en profundidad. We can talk about it more deep about the work that we develop with our agency. Yes.
And maybe we can even invite other, members who have done great work in Spanish, but we have in English, in French. We are working on on a new white paper for contract design. So if you want to receive the news when it's ready, I would highly recommend you take a look at the newsletter. So you can receive this newspaper this white paper when it's available. I think that would be really great. So this is legocreatives.com/newsletter. We're working on this. Anne Geneviève is working on this with us. She was there on the live. So I think you're going to get a lot of value by staying connected with this community and with JP and myself. I think there was, I wanted to recap maybe the 4 me's we have discussed. So the first me's was to team or not to team. That was JP's me's. That Lego design is something you can do in collaboration with designers as a lawyer, but you could decide if you wanted to learn how to design yourself. And in fact, we're working on templates now at Lego Creatives because we have seen this would be so useful for the lawyers who would like to get quicker wins, right, in terms of doing those visuals, which can take a lot of time if you don't know how to design. That's normal, right? So you could decide to team with a designer. If you do, you can test working with different designers, see their work. And eventually, if you like a few of them, you can ask them to submit some of samples of and see if they are excited to work with you. Or you could learn yourself how to do the design as well. And that would work. We know many people who have great success doing both. Second means Lego design is not about the visualization of legal information. It's a methodology. It's a framework. It's a set of tools and techniques to help you think about your customers and users and place them at the center of everything that you do. And again, I'm going to emphasize that. You may say, I already pay attention to my customer. Of course you are, but this methodology gives you additional tools and methodology so you can spend your resource and energy on communicating in a more effective manner the information you deliver, and also work in a more effective manner. Then we had as a fourth myth, the third was about Lego design, which is not about making logos, but working on customer interactions at a more strategic level on the branding. So that could be really interesting if you would like to assess your branding, the way you communicate. Lego design can help you do that. And the fourth and last myth was Lego design is not only for the big law, it's also for small, medium, and solo practitioners. And so what's exciting is we're going to have this workshop in Spanish in February 2023. So make sure to enter your name at es.legocreatives.com to be the first to know. And I'm sure we'll have some surprises for you. And if you would like to learn in English, subscribe to our newsletter. We have an immersion program that is coming up in February 2023, where you're going to dive deep into this methodology, access the tools, understand the frameworks, and also have the possibility to practice within an international environment. And I think that's what people love the most, is as you take the program, you get to learn so much, not just from the content, but also from the community and all the professionals that are there. Last word, JP?
Sí, increíble cómo hemos llevado adelante esta charla en español y en inglés. Quería más o menos aclarar para si hay el público latinoamericano, hay personas que a veces con tu excelente inglés no pueden captar a lo mejor todo hablas muy bien, entonces a veces vas muy rápido. Pero bueno, lo que sí quería decir es que, bueno, que nos visiten en es.legalcreatives.com, legalcreatives.com, para ser el primero en conocer los talleres. Ahí van a recibir, si ustedes se registran, van a empezar a recibir la información sobre los 3 talleres que tenemos programados para el año 2023, para principios del 23. El primero ya tiene fecha, que es el 11 de febrero. Y bueno, estoy súper contento y emocionado de que estamos haciendo este lanzamiento, esta partnership entre Legal Creatives y Accesible para brindar la capacitación del legal design, pero en el idioma español. Porque muchas veces es interesante, a mí me pasa, o sea, yo he hecho las immersions y los workshops en inglés, pero muchas veces es como que nos perdemos algunas cosas no tanto en lo cual, en los textos o las cosas que nosotros tenemos que ir leyendo, que eso básicamente el inglés es bastante sencillo, pero en el trabajo en equipo, cuando hacemos los workshops o las immersions y empezamos a trabajar con los equipos, tal vez está bueno hacerlo en el idioma original de uno para poder compartir ideas un poquito más profundas si hay gente que tiene un nivel de inglés que no llega a tener la capacidad de entrar a una immersion en inglés. Por eso nosotros pensamos con Tessa que hacer esto en español era un desafío, lo veníamos pensando ya hace bastante y bueno, y hoy estoy muy contento de que se haya, digamos, lanzado ya Legal Creatives en español. Así que bueno, Tessa, felicitaciones y todo tuyo, te dejo.
Well, and I want to congratulate you, JP, for the accessible legal design, the partnership we are building for those workshops to initiate something that would be potentially really amazing and transformative for the legal community in LATAM and in Spain as well. I've been myself based in Brazil for quite some time now, working remotely. Used to be in Canada, and before that used to be in France. And I have seen a great enthusiasm in Brazil for legal design and in other parts of the Latin American region. So I'm very excited to make this happen for the community, and look forward to seeing you in those workshops in Spanish. Don't forget to enter your email address if you would like to be the first to know, eslegalcreatives.com. And if you would like to stay tuned in English, you just go to legalcreatives.com. Well, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this live conversation. Anything else you would like to add, JP, before we go?
No, realmente es un placer. Creo que ha salido muy bien este experimento, porque también es como una especie de experiencia extraña estar en los dos idiomas. Y nada, agradecerte por todo lo que has hecho y haces por el mundo del legal design. Y bueno, vamos para adelante, como digo yo. Gracias.
Thank you so much. Let us know in the comment how you like this. Make sure to share this live with your network so they can access it and watch it at their own time. And we'll see you very soon for another live episode with JP, who's going to come back to share a little bit about his work. And we'll bring other people to share the work that is being done in this incredible community at Legal Creatives. Thank you so much, everybody.
Fatalities will